My precious child, I see the ache behind your eyes. You wear strength like a garment, stitched with threads of responsibility, necessity, and quiet desperation. Outwardly, you carry on, composed, capable, managing. But I see deeper. I see the late nights when you lie awake, calculating, praying, wondering if the next day will bring relief or more pressure. I hear the silent questions that crowd your thoughts like shadows. Will I make it? Will it get worse before it gets better? Am I doing something wrong? Let me draw near to you now. Let me be the one to answer what your heart has been too weary to speak aloud. I know the weight you carry. I know the tension in your chest as you open a bill you weren't expecting. I know the hollow sting of having to say no to something small, something simple, because the numbers won't stretch. I know how you've stretched yourself, mind, body, and spirit, to cover what's needed. And I know how tired you are. You're not alone, you've never been. Even in your most overwhelming moments, even in the decisions you regret, even in the months when things didn't go as planned, I was there. Not distant, not disappointed. Present, tender, protective. Guiding in ways you couldn't yet see. There has never been a single day that I was not aware of your needs. Not one moment when your lack escaped my notice. And certainly not 1 hour when my love for you wavered. The world has taught you that financial struggle is a sign of failure, a measure of value. But my kingdom doesn't operate by those rules. I never intended for money to define your worth or dictate your peace. I do not withhold love when your income drops. I do not assign greater purpose to those who have more. I see through the surface and straight into your heart, and your heart, even now, is precious to me. Hear me clearly. You are not less because you are lacking. You are not failing because you are struggling. You are not forgotten because the breakthrough hasn't come. I am not standing with arms folded, waiting for you to prove yourself. I am kneeling beside you, my hands already moving, my eyes already scanning the horizon of your life for the next opportunity to provide, to rescue, to redeem. You have not been forsaken. You have been preserved. I know the temptation to view me through the lens of your bank account. When things feel tight, when provision delays, your heart wonders if I'm delaying too. But I want to reshape that view. I want you to know me not just as your Savior, not just as your King, but as your provider. I want you to see that I care just as much about your groceries as I do about your goals. I care about the little expenses, the rent, the fuel, the schooling, the medicines, the unplanned repairs. I am not only concerned with your spiritual needs, I am invested in your full life. Even now, I am orchestrating provision. It may not always arrive in the way you expected. It may not feel miraculous. But it is me. It is my mercy, disguised in everyday kindness. It is my strategy, unfolding slowly, layer by layer. It is my love expressed in the generosity of others, in the stretching of resources that should have run out, in the favor you find when you least expect it. I am not passive. I am present. And still, I want you to know, my provision is not just about meeting needs. It's about building something in you. I'm doing more than covering bills. I'm anchoring your trust. I'm deepening your character. I'm shifting your eyes from scarcity to sufficiency, from desperation to dependence. Not on the world, but on me. I'm turning your focus from what is missing to who is near. Because when you know I am near, peace begins to bloom again. There is a grace for you in this very season. You do not need to hustle your way into worthiness. You do not need to perform your way into breakthrough. What I desire most is your heart, not your perfection. I do not need your plans to be flawless. I simply long for your surrender. Let me in, not just into your prayers, but into your fears. Let me step into the corners of your heart where disappointment has hidden itself. Let me hold the pieces you're too tired to carry alone. You're not behind. You're not too late. And no, this is not the end. This moment is not your defeat. It is your invitation. Your invitation to see me move in ways you've never needed before. To feel my closeness in ways you never imagined. To realize that I am not just a concept or a distant deity. I am your Father, your faithful, daily, compassionate Father. And I will not let you fall. If you've been walking this road believing that the pressure is all on you, it's time to lay that down. Let go of the idea that survival depends solely on your ability to strategize, save, or sacrifice. Yes, I've given you wisdom. Yes, I will lead you to make sound decisions. But above all, I want you to rest in me. I want you to stop treating provision like a war to be won, and begin seeing it as a promise to be trusted. I have not brought you this far to abandon you now. The same God who carried you through past storms is still here, still listening, still providing, still guiding. You will see my hand in this. You will know that I was with you all along, not just when things got better, but here, right now, in the middle of it. You are not defined by your financial condition. You are defined by my love, and that love has never been tied to what you have. It is bound only to who you are, and you are mine. Let your heart breathe now, my beloved. Let it release the pressure it's carried for too long. You've been surviving in a world that teaches constant striving, always reaching, always pushing, always evaluating your worth through what you can produce or accumulate. But I did not design your life to revolve around fear, nor did I call you to a faith that feels like performance. I'm not watching you like a taskmaster, measuring your success by worldly progress. I am watching you as a father watches his child, attentively, lovingly, with infinite patience and compassion. I know the weight of provision has felt like yours alone to carry. The responsibility, the guilt, the silent expectations you put on yourself to always provide, always protect, always make sure nothing falls apart. And when things do falter, even momentarily, you question your value. You question whether you've failed, whether you've disappointed me. But you haven't. You haven't failed me, child. I want you to hear that with your soul, not just your ears. You haven't failed. You've been trying. And I have seen every attempt, every effort, every prayer muttered under your breath, every financial decision made with trembling hope, every time you said no to yourself so you could say yes to someone else. I have seen it all, and I've been with you in it. You may think of me as distant when your needs are unmet, but I am never more near than when you are at your end. Because it is there, in the place where your strength gives out, that my strength begins. Not because I delight in your weakness, but because I delight in showing you that you were never meant to walk alone. Your limitations are not liabilities. They are invitations for me to reveal my glory in your life. And that glory often begins in what looks like impossibility. You've heard that I am Jehovah Jireh, your provider. But I want those words to become more than a phrase. I want them to be your experience. I want them to be the place you return to when your mind begins to spiral. I want them to be the truth you preach to your own heart in the midnight hour. Because when I provide, I do not merely patch holes. I create fullness, wholeness. I provide not just materially, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I fill every part of you, not only your pantry, but your soul. You're not forgotten. You're not on your own. And though the world teaches you to panic when provision feels scarce, I'm inviting you to pause instead. I'm inviting you to see differently, to see lack not as punishment, but as a portal, an opportunity for deeper communion with me. Because it's in the emptiness that you begin to crave something more eternal. It's in the absence of control that you learn how to truly trust. I'm not saying this to minimize your pain. I'm not indifferent to the stress you carry, the mental calculations that never seem to end, the uncertainty that hovers around every decision. I know how these things weigh on you, and I am not angry at your anxiety. But I want to hold it for you. I want you to place it in my hands, because while you fret over what is next, I have already walked into your future and made a way. A better way than you could imagine. I want to teach you a new economy. One where peace is more valuable than possessions. One where wisdom is worth more than wealth. One where joy is not bought, but birthed from knowing I am with you. This economy is not dictated by the market or the media. It's rooted in trust, and you already have access to it, not by what you earn, but by who you are, my beloved. So let's start here, right where you are, with what you have, even if it feels like not enough. I am the God of not enough, becoming more than enough. I am the one who brings water from rocks and bread from heaven. I'm the one who multiplied loaves and filled nets until they broke. And if I did it then, I can do it now, for you. Not because you've begged enough, but because I love you that much. Let me show you what provision really looks like. It's not always dramatic, it's not always instant, but it's always enough. Sometimes it comes through open doors, sometimes through people I've assigned to help you, sometimes through the favor you didn't even know you had, and sometimes it looks like unexpected strength, the kind you didn't know you had until you walked through fire and didn't burn. But even more than what I do for you, I want you to know who I am to you. I am your provider, not just on Sundays, not just in emergencies, always. I don't grow weary, I don't forget, I don't miscalculate. I see the end from the beginning, and I supply according to your need, not according to your fear. So let me carry this with you. Let me remind you again and again, if needed, that you're not alone, that I am here, that I am faithful, that I am already working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see, and that even in this valley, I'm leading you toward green pastures. This is not where your story ends. It's where your dependence on me begins to deepen. It's where fear gives way to faith. It's where anxiety begins to loosen its grip. And as you walk with me, you'll begin to see that what it once felt like pressure now feels like peace. You are not just surviving, you are becoming someone who lives not by sight, but by faith. And that faith, beloved, is beautiful to me. I know, child, that the struggle has not only touched your finances, it has touched your emotions, your thoughts, your sense of self. Money is rarely just about money. It reaches into identity, into legacy, into belonging. It can make you question your decisions, your worth, even your place in the world. But I'm here to tell you that your value has never been measured in numbers. Not by me, not ever. You've been taught to tie your identity to productivity, to believe that success means control, wealth, comfort, visibility, that if you work hard enough, plan well enough, give enough, you'll arrive at peace. But what happens when you've done all you can and it still isn't enough? What happens when the income runs thin, the needs remain, and you can't find a way forward? That's when the voice of shame creeps in, insidious, quiet, false. It says you're not good enough, that you're not capable, that you're falling behind while others move forward. But that voice is not mine. I do not speak in shame. I do not motivate through guilt. I do not compare you to your neighbor or your sibling or the stranger on a screen. I speak identity over you based on who I created you to be, not what you can earn or prove. You are my image bearer. You are royalty. You are worthy. Not because you hold riches, but because you are held by me. Let me say it again. You are not behind. I know how easily comparison can poison your perspective. I know how you scroll through other people's lives and wonder why your story feels slower, smaller, messier, but you don't know the full picture of anyone's life. What you see is filtered. What I see is eternal. I see your heart when you rise early and pray through exhaustion. I see your integrity when you choose honesty over shortcuts. I see your resilience when you continue, even when the outcome remains unclear. And I call it good. The enemy would love to use this season to define you by what you lack, but I am using it to reveal what you carry. Because, child, you carry far more than you realize. You carry endurance forged in trial. You carry wisdom birthed through loss. You carry empathy that has grown because you've walked through need yourself. You carry the kind of strength that can't be bought, and that makes you rich in ways the world cannot see. But heaven celebrates. So let me walk with you, deeper still, into the parts of your heart that have begun to question whether I am truly good. I know you don't want to admit it, but sometimes you wonder. When you see others thriving while you barely get by, when you pray and the answers don't arrive in the way you hoped, when the gap between what you need and what you have feels like an open wound, you wonder. And still, I stay. I stay not because you never doubt, but because I know your doubts are born of longing. I know your questions come from pain, not rebellion. I am not intimidated by your uncertainty. You can bring it to me. I do not demand blind obedience. I welcome your wrestle, your honesty, your tears. I can handle your questions. I am not just Lord over your praise, I am Lord over your confusion too. And still I want to remind you that I am good, not just in theory, but in practice. My goodness is not defined by instant results, but by eternal truth. Even in seasons where it seems like the blessing is delayed, my heart is never delayed in its love for you. I am not a vending machine dispensing comfort when you press the right buttons. I am a father raising a child in truth, patience, and wisdom. Sometimes I delay not because you're being punished, but because you're being protected. Because the thing you're asking for might bless your hands, but burden your heart. So I wait until you're ready to receive it fully. In the meantime, I continue to give you what matters most: my presence. I know it doesn't always feel like enough. You want the debt cleared, the job secured, the future certain. But what if the peace you seek is not behind the next paycheck, but right here in my presence? What if joy is not waiting in a more comfortable life, but awakening in the revelation that you are not walking alone? You see, identity formed in hardship is often stronger than identity formed in abundance. Because when everything is stripped away, what remains is unshakable. When the applause stops, when the accounts dwindle, when the support systems fail, if you still believe you are mine, you have found the unmovable truth, and that truth will carry you. So lift your head, not because the pressure is gone, but because I am lifting you. Walk forward, not because you have it all figured out, but because I am leading you. Rest tonight, not because the world has quieted, but because I have not changed. Your identity is not your debt. It is not your income. It is not the fear you fight or the questions you carry. Your identity is sealed in me, loved, chosen, called, provided for. That is who you are, and nothing can take that from you. You've heard the phrase, God is in control, so often that it may have lost its weight. It may feel like a distant truth, something that sounds good in sermons or songs, but feels hollow when you're face to face with an overdue bill, a declining balance, or a moment where you have to say no to something basic. I understand. I do not rebuke you for your weariness. I do not ask you to pretend. I come to you now, not as a distant God quoting cliches, but as your present Father, offering my hand again in the midst of your storm. Yes, I am in control, but more than that, I am with you. It is not my sovereignty alone that comforts you. it is my nearness. Sovereignty without intimacy is cold and far off. But I am not merely sovereign. I am Emmanuel, God with you. I walk into your budget meetings, into your overwhelmed thoughts, into the grocery aisles where you calculate every item, into the silent drives home where you wrestle with fear and wonder if breakthrough will ever come. I'm already there. You see the storm, but I see the horizon. You see what's missing, but I see what I'm building. You see dead ends. I see preparation. I don't deny that your situation feels overwhelming. I don't minimize the complexity, the injustice, or the fear. I honor your experience, but I also call you higher. I invite you to see through my eyes, to trust not in what makes sense, but in what is true. Because even when it doesn't look like it, even when it doesn't feel like it, I am at work in your story. My timing is not a punishment. It is a protection. You want answers now, but I see what you cannot. I see how one answered prayer could unlock something you're not yet ready to carry. I see how certain doors might distract rather than develop. I see how your heart is still learning to let go of worry, to breathe in peace, to walk slowly and surely with me, instead of rushing ahead. You ask for resolution, and I understand, but I am more committed to your restoration. Let me restore your heart before I restore your finances. Because peace that depends on circumstances is a fragile peace. It will crumble the next time a crisis comes. But peace that is rooted in me will remain, even if the world around you shakes. And this is what I'm offering you now. Not just provision, but presence. Not just stability, but a soul so anchored in me that fear can no longer rule it. Fear has been your unwanted companion for too long. It sneaks into your thoughts and steals your rest. It masquerades as logic, telling you that you're only being realistic. It dresses itself in responsibility, convincing you that unless you worry, things will fall apart. But that's not reality. That's bondage. You were not made to live like this. You were not created to constantly brace for disaster. You were designed to dwell in peace. The kind of peace I give doesn't ignore problems. It overrides them. It doesn't require perfect outcomes. It flows from perfect trust. My peace is not earned by having all the answers. It's received in the quiet surrender of saying, God, I don't know how, but I know you. And that knowledge becomes your anchor. I know the questions that circle your mind. What if I can't provide for my children? What if this debt never goes away? What if I lose everything? These are real fears, and I won't shame you for having them. But I invite you to bring them to me. Lay them at my feet, not just once, but every time they return. I will not grow tired of your need. I will never roll my eyes at your weakness. I am your Father, and it brings me joy to carry what is too heavy for you. Let me teach you to live in the present. Anxiety often lives in the future, in all the imagined scenarios, the worst-case endings, the contingencies that never come. But I dwell with you here, now, this moment. I provided for this day. I've given you enough breath for this hour, enough strength for this task, enough wisdom for this decision. Tomorrow will have its own grace, but today I am with you. And I am not passive in my witness. I'm not simply watching you struggle, offering comfort from a distance. I am moving. I'm opening hearts, preparing opportunities, sowing favor in the background. I'm speaking to someone's spirit right now who will cross paths with you and become part of my provision. You don't need to force it. You don't need to chase it. Just walk with me, and you will find what you need. You're not forgotten. You're not behind. You're not being punished. You're being loved, deeply, consistently, eternally. And that love is what will carry you through. Not just until the provision comes, but forever. I will never let you fall beyond the reach of my mercy. I will never let fear have the final word. So even now, take a breath, You're not walking into more uncertainty. You're walking into more of me. Let peace begin its gentle work. Let fear loosen its grip. Let joy make a quiet return. You are safe here, not because everything has changed, but because you are choosing to trust the one who does not change. I am here, and I am enough. Let's dwell here for a moment, in this place of presence, this quiet space where striving ceases and trust begins. I know how unnatural it feels to stop pushing, to stop planning every second, to stop anticipating disaster. It goes against everything the world has taught you, but the world doesn't understand the rhythm of my heart. The world says, be anxious or things will fall apart. I say, be still and know that I am God. Not because there's nothing to do, but because everything that matters flows from first knowing me. This is the sacred tension of your journey. You live in a world that runs fast, but I am calling you to walk slowly with me. The world demands results. I offer relationship. The world counts success in possessions and promotions. I count it in peace, in perseverance, in how fully your heart belongs to me. And even now, in your financial struggles, I am inviting you deeper, not to fix everything in one breath, but to learn the art of abiding, to stay with me, to let my presence be your first pursuit, not your last resort. You may think you need answers to find peace, but I'm offering peace before the answers arrive. I'm not asking you to ignore your needs or deny reality. I'm inviting you to live fully present, right now, with me. Because it's here in the now that your soul begins to breathe again. You've spent so much time worrying about tomorrow that you've missed the grace available today. And yet today is where I am. I don't live in your imagined future fears. I dwell with you in the moment you are living now. So let me anchor you again in truth. I am your provider, not just in theory, not just on your best days. Every day, today, and provision doesn't always look like a deposit or a raise. Sometimes it's a moment of unexpected kindness. Sometimes it's the strength to keep going when you're depleted. Sometimes it's clarity when your thoughts feel scattered. Sometimes it's someone showing up just when you needed help. These are my fingerprints too. Small mercies, unnoticed by others, but perfectly timed by me. And yet I know it's hard to see those moments when fear clouds your vision. I know how stress narrows your view, how it becomes difficult to see anything beyond the next urgent need. So I'm lifting your eyes again, not in rebuke, but in compassion. Look up, child. Look up from the spreadsheets and the numbers and the deadlines. Look up from the weight you've carried and look at me. I have never taken my eyes off you, and I never will. You're not alone in this. I'm walking every step beside you. I don't just stand at the end of the road, waiting for you to get it all right. I'm walking the road with you. And when you fall behind or lose your way, I do not abandon you. I gently guide you back. There is no shame in needing direction. There is only grace. The world will try to tell you that your value is found in what you produce, that if you're not moving fast or creating more or building bigger, you're falling behind. But my kingdom is upside down to the world. I say that you are valuable, not for what you do, but for who you are. I don't love you more when you succeed, or less when you struggle. My love is steady, unmoved by circumstances. You cannot add to it, and you cannot subtract from it. That truth is what gives you the freedom to live in the present. You don't have to constantly strive for tomorrow's security. You don't have to replay yesterday's mistakes. You can live today in peace, knowing that I've covered both your past and your future. And in this very moment, I'm giving you exactly what you need. Not everything you want, not everything at once, but enough. Enough grace, enough strength, enough provision to take the next faithful step. Do you see the invitation? It's not to figure it all out. It's to walk hand in hand with me. I will teach you when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to be silent, when to save and when to give. I will teach you how to live wisely and generously, how to recognize the prompting of my spirit in your finances and your life. But first, I want your heart. I want your trust, not just in my ability to provide, but in my heart to care for you. Let go of the idea that peace will arrive when everything is resolved. Peace is not a destination, it is a person. It is found in Maine. When you abide in me, peace becomes a companion, not a reward, and that peace will carry you through every season, through lack and through abundance, through uncertainty and through clarity, because it's not dependent on your circumstances, it's rooted in my presence. And that is what I'm offering you now. Not just a solution, a relationship, not just an answer, a way of living, a way of trusting, a way of breathing again. So for today, let that be enough. Let me be enough. Rest in the knowledge that you are not falling apart. You are being held together, not by effort, not by performance, but by me. Let's speak about something deeper now. Your understanding of wealth, not as the world defines it, but as I see it. Because the world will try to mold your mind into its image, convincing you that prosperity is the result of relentless striving and accumulating more. It will tell you that value lies in status, comfort, and possessions. But I did not create you for a life of empty accumulation. I created you for a life of meaning, of alignment, of generosity, of peace. And my definition of abundance looks very different from what the world preaches. You've been told that more money means more security. But child, I've seen people with great wealth lie awake at night, tormented by fear of losing it. I've seen the most extravagant houses filled with loneliness and pressure. I've seen lives built on riches fall apart in the absence of joy. You see, without me, wealth becomes a weight. But with me, even little becomes much. True prosperity begins when you understand that abundance is not about how much you own. It's about how free your heart is. I'm not saying that resources are bad. I created abundance. I provide for my children. I open doors and release blessings. But I never want the blessing to become your identity, because when it does, your peace becomes fragile. It rises and falls with your bank account. And that is not the kind of peace I want for you. I want the kind of peace that cannot be shaken. I want the kind of joy that lasts through every season. I want your soul to prosper, even before your wallet does, because that's the prosperity that will endure. Let me teach you contentment, not complacency, contentment, the quiet strength of a heart that says, even now, I am thankful. It's not denial, it's not resignation. It's choosing to see what is, rather than obsessing over what isn't. It's choosing to value my presence over possessions, to count your blessings before counting your bills, to find beauty in simplicity. And when you begin to live from that place, you unlock something powerful. Gratitude becomes your perspective, and that changes everything. Gratitude shifts your posture from surviving to thriving, even when the numbers don't change right away. It reminds you that provision comes in many forms, that a peaceful home, a warm meal, a kind word, a moment of laughter, these are riches the world can't manufacture. They are signs of my hand upon your life. Gratitude keeps your eyes open to what I am doing now, not just what you hope I'll do next. And when you live with open eyes and an open heart, you begin to realize you are more blessed than you knew. But I also want to speak to your calling, not just to receive, but to give. Because generosity is not something you wait to do once you have more. It is something you practice now, in small and sacred ways. Not to earn favor, not to impress, but because giving opens your spirit to the flow of my kingdom. You were made to be a conduit, not a container. When you give, whether time, love, resources, you align yourself with my heart. You may feel like you don't have much to give right now, but I'm not asking you for what you don't have. I never do. I'm asking for willingness, for trust, for an open hand, because I can do much with little. I fed thousands with a boy's lunch. I poured oil that didn't run dry. I multiplied what seemed insignificant, and I still do. When you give out of trust, I meet you there. I multiply not only your resources, but your joy, your peace, your influence. And I want to speak to stewardship too. Wise stewardship is not about fear. It's about freedom. It's not about restriction. It's about clarity. When you manage your resources with me, when you ask me before spending, when you resist the pull of impulse and instead follow my leading, you create a space where peace can thrive. Budgeting with me is not about control. It's about alignment. It's about partnering with me to use what you have with purpose. Not just for survival, but for legacy. This is where I'm taking you. From reactive living to intentional living. From scarcity mindsets to kingdom vision. From fearing lack to embracing my sufficiency. You are not called to just get by. You are called to live in rhythm with my spirit. Walking with wisdom, giving with joy, receiving with humility. And in this rhythm, there is peace, there is purpose, there is rest. Because in my economy, you are already rich. Rich in grace, rich in potential, rich in favor, rich in the wisdom you've gained through trials, rich in the compassion you've cultivated through hardship, rich in the spirit that lives within you, Raposo. And that richness is what makes you dangerous to the lies of the enemy. Because when you know you are provided for, you stop being controlled by fear. So let go of the false definition of success. Let go of the image of wealth the world has fed you. Embrace the truth of who you are, blessed, loved, entrusted with much. Even if your bank account doesn't reflect it yet, your identity in me does. And from that identity, I will lead you into greater provision, greater peace, and greater purpose than you ever imagined. Now come closer, child, for I want to go to a place deeper than financial wisdom, deeper than stewardship, deeper than provision itself. I want to speak to the shame you carry, the quiet, lingering sense that somehow this struggle is your fault. That if only you'd done more, worked harder, made better choices, trusted me sooner, you wouldn't be in this place. I want to reach into the places you've tucked those thoughts away, the silent corners of your soul where regret has built a nest. And I want to speak freedom there. Shame is a cruel master. It doesn't just remind you of what went wrong, it tries to define you by it. It whispers that your mistakes are not just part of your story, but the whole of your identity. It convinces you that because you are struggling financially, you are weak, foolish, or even disqualified from my help. But I have never spoken shame over you. Never. Even when your decisions have led to hardship, I have always approached you with compassion. My heart is not to condemn, but to restore. You are not the sum of your bank statements. You are not your debt. You are not your credit score. You are not the missed opportunities or the failed ventures. You are not the job you lost or the job you had to take. You are mine, and my grace covers every regret, every wrong turn, every moment where fear shouted louder than faith. I do not call you a failure. I call you beloved. Let me take you back to the truth. When I formed you, I did not look into your future and plan only for your successes. I saw every stumble, every shortcoming, every cry of confusion, and I chose you anyway. I wrote redemption into your story from the beginning. My mercy was not prepared as an afterthought. It was always the plan, and it still flows now, washing over your past, cleansing what you thought couldn't be forgiven, healing what you believed would always be broken. You don't need to hide from me. There's no corner of your history that I'm unaware of, no detail too ugly for my grace. When I look at you, I see someone who has endured much and is still standing. I see someone who has grown in ways even they don't recognize. I see the courage it took to keep praying when you weren't sure I was listening. I see the faith it took to keep giving when it felt like you had nothing left. That matters to me. You matter to me, and I want to walk with you through healing, not just financial, but emotional, because unresolved shame festers. It bleeds into your decisions. It steals your joy. It keeps you afraid of trying again, hoping again, dreaming again. It tells you you're not worthy of restoration. But I came to break that lie. You are worthy, not because of what you've done, but because of what I've done. You are worthy because you are mine. I know the wounds that financial hardship can leave, the embarrassment when you can't provide what others expect, the fear of being judged, the isolation that grows when you feel like no one understands. But I do understand. I walked roads of poverty. I knew what it was to lack, to be misunderstood, to rely on the provision of others. I've sat with the rejected, embraced the outcasts, loved the ones everyone else avoided. I have always been close to the brokenhearted, and I am close to you now. You see, shame has no place where my love is present. My love doesn't just coexist with your flaws, it transforms them. It doesn't ignore your past, it redeems it. It doesn't pretend you've never made mistakes. It promises that those mistakes will never have the final word. Only I do. And I say you are chosen. I say you are being rebuilt. I say your best days are still ahead, not despite your past, but in part because of it. Because what the enemy meant for harm, I will use for good. What he intended to shame you into silence, I will use to amplify your story. One day, others will find healing because of what I brought you through. They will listen because you've walked the path they now fear. They will believe because they will see how I turned your wilderness into a garden. But for now, let me care for you. Let me whisper peace into your shame and turn it into testimony. You do not have to earn this healing. You only have to receive it. Lay down the measuring sticks. Stop rehearsing your failures. Stop asking, what if I had done it differently? And start asking, God, what can you do with it now? Because the answer, my child, is everything. I can do everything with what you place in my hands, even your brokenness, especially your brokenness. You are not damaged goods. You are not irreparably behind. You are not too far gone. You are standing in the presence of the God who raises the dead, restores the ruined, and reclaims what others have given up on. I am not intimidated by your past. I am not disappointed in your process. I am right here, arms wide, heart open, ready to walk you into freedom. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing, and I will do the rest. There is a gentle shift happening even now, in the quiet places of your soul. You may not see it yet, but something is stirring beneath the surface. It's the slow, sacred turning of your heart toward hope again. After all you've faced, after the disappointments, the fear, the pressure, I see the courage it takes to believe that good can still come. And I want you to know, it can. It will. But even more than the breakthrough you long for, I am giving you something deeper, something that no circumstance can take from you. I am giving you peace that passes understanding. You've asked me to change your situation, and I have heard you. I am not deaf to your prayers. I have collected every tear. But there are moments in your journey where I must first change your perspective. Not because I'm withholding, good things from you, but because I want to prepare your heart to receive them rightly. I'm more concerned with your wholeness than with quick solutions. I do not just want to pull you out of this season. I want you to emerge from it stronger, wiser, and deeply anchored in me. And this is why I speak so often of trust, because trust is not just a nice word or a spiritual concept. It is the foundation of real peace. Trust says, even when I don't understand, I know you are still good. Trust lets go of the need to control outcomes. Trust allows you to breathe when there's no visible answer. And trust invites me to lead fully, freely, into places you couldn't reach on your own. You may feel like you're standing still, but, child, you're growing. You're learning to let go of false security. You're learning to quiet the voice of fear. You're learning to listen more closely for my whisper. These are not small things. They're eternal things. And every time you choose faith over fear, even in the tiniest way, you're building a resilience that will serve you for the rest of your life. Don't despise this part of your story. I know it's not what you would have chosen. I know it hurts. But even in the ache, I am present. Even in the uncertainty, I am at work. And one day, you will look back and see how this chapter held more significance than you ever imagined. Because this is where your roots are going deep. This is where you're learning how to stand, how to trust, how to walk by faith and not by sight. I'm not just preparing provision for you, I'm preparing you for provision. Because it is possible to receive a blessing before your heart is ready to carry it. It is possible to gain financially and still feel spiritually impoverished. But I love you too much to let that happen. I want your soul to prosper as your resources grow. I want you to carry financial blessing not with fear or pride, but with freedom, gratitude, and wisdom. That's why I'm building in you something no thief can steal and no economy can shake. I'm giving you vision, not just for your needs, but for your calling. You were not created to merely survive. You were created to influence, to give, to lead, to serve, to create. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will come, I want you to walk into it with the confidence that you are ready. Not just externally, but internally. I want you to recognize my hand, to give me glory, to bless others because you know what it's like to need me deeply. There is a peace I give that settles your spirit, even when circumstances remain messy. It's not shallow. It doesn't come and go like fleeting emotions. It is deep, steady, enduring. It's the peace that allowed me to sleep through storms. The peace that cannot be manufactured by wealth or resolved through logic. It's a gift, and I'm offering it to you right now. Let me teach you how to rest, not just physically, but spiritually. Let me teach you the power of slowing down, of refusing to panic, of taking one faithful step at a time. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You don't need to carry the burden of tomorrow. Just be here with me. Let my voice be louder than the voice of fear. Let my presence outweigh the pressure. Let my promises become more real to you than your problems. And child, don't forget, I am still the God of sudden miracles. I can change a situation in a moment. I can open doors that were sealed shut. I can send provision from unexpected places. But even when I move slowly, I'm still moving. Even when you don't see the evidence, I'm still orchestrating beauty from the ashes. Keep believing. Keep asking. But most of all, keep abiding. Because the miracle you need is not only around you, it is also happening in you. You are becoming steady, becoming wise, becoming whole. And soon, when the tide shifts, you will not just be rescued. You will be ready. Ready to carry more. Ready to live with freedom. Ready to trust me, no matter what the numbers say. This is not just about getting through. This is about rising up, in peace, in hope, in me. Your financial life is not some detached realm that I observe from afar, as if I'm only involved when you lift your hands in worship or kneel in prayer. I've always been near in every area of your life, including this one. I've watched over you in the moments where decisions had to be made quickly, when choices felt impossible, when you gave even though it hurt, when you sacrificed and still questioned if it would be enough. You have walked through seasons where it seemed like everything was stretching you beyond your limits. Yet here you are, still breathing, still believing, still choosing me, even with trembling hands. That kind of faith is precious to me, not because it's loud or polished, but because it's real. It comes from the depths of a soul that has experienced lack, but refuses to let go of hope. You've had moments where you felt like a candle flickering in the wind, about to go out. But I was the one shielding that flame with my own hands. And I say to you now, I will not let it die. I will not let you die. You are entering a time of renewal, not only in provision but in perspective. What you've learned in this season will not be forgotten. You're coming out of this not as someone who merely survived, but as someone transformed. You will no longer view finances through the narrow lens of fear or scarcity, but through the lens of my heart. You'll begin to see resources as they truly are. Tools to build, to bless, to serve, to expand the light I've placed within you. Do not be surprised if things begin to shift soon. Not because your efforts finally reached some divine quota, but because I have ordained this moment for your lifting. I have seen the trials. I have measured the weight. I have declared that the night will not last forever. You will begin to see light again, not only around you, but within you. There is a release coming, not just a relief of tension, but a return of joy. You're not headed toward mere survival. You're walking into abundance. And this abundance won't overwhelm you because you've been prepared. I don't just pour out provision. I pour out clarity. I don't just give gifts. I teach how to carry them. That's what I've been doing in this wilderness. I've been training your eyes to see beyond lack. I've been training your ears to hear my voice in the noise. I've been shaping your heart to steward well what I am about to release. You may have thought I was silent, but I've been whispering wisdom in every delay. I've been building endurance with every unanswered question, and now the time is drawing near. You will walk with a confidence that cannot be fabricated because it's been forged in fire. You will be generous without fear because you've already seen how I sustain. You will help others climb out of the very valleys you once called home. And you will do it, not from pride, but from deep compassion. Your testimony will not be how you amassed wealth. It will be how you never lost me in the process of waiting. And that testimony will shake chains off others who think that faith and finances must remain at odds. You will live differently now. You will make decisions from peace, not pressure. You will approach giving as an act of joy, not guilt. You will steward wisely, not fearfully. You will no longer feel shame around this area of your life, because I have healed it. You will understand that provision is not just what you receive, but what you carry. You carry insight. You carry resilience. You carry vision. These are the treasures that will guide you well, even in seasons of increase. And yes, increase is coming. I'm not afraid to bless you. I'm not reluctant to provide. I take joy in watching you flourish, but I wanted your roots to grow first. I wanted you to know that no matter what happens externally, you are unshakably mine. And now that you know, truly know, we can build something together that lasts, not just for you, but for those around you. You will bless others, not because you have extra, but because you walk in overflow. The restoration you've waited for is not just about catching up on what was lost. It's about redeeming time. redeeming the energy you thought had gone to waste, redeeming the dreams you thought had died. I will give back not just resources, but purpose. I will reignite the dreams that lay dormant. I will breathe life into the work of your hands. I will do what only I can do. So stand tall, child, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is aligned. You have walked through the valley, and now you are rising with wisdom, with authority, with peace that no one can take from you. You're rising not just into provision, but into purpose. You're stepping into a season marked not by what you lack, but by who you carry. Me. This is my message for your finances. But more than that, this is my message for your life. I have always been enough for you, and now you are learning that you, walking with me, are enough too. Let me seal this word upon your heart, not as a fleeting encouragement, but as a declaration. You are not the same person who entered this storm. You are not the same child who once cried out in desperation, unsure if I would answer. You have grown in ways that only pressure could have revealed. You have seen me not just as God of the mountaintop, but God of the valley. Not just the giver, but the companion. And this, my beloved, is the true richness of your journey, that you have found me in the wilderness, and in finding me, you have found yourself. You may not yet see the full fruit of what I've planted during your season of lack, but the roots are deep. They are hidden beneath the surface, but they are strong. Faith, resilience, wisdom, compassion, gratitude. These are not mere qualities, they are foundations. And I have built them into you brick by brick, day by day, through every moment you thought you couldn't take another step. What looked like delay was divine construction. And now, it is almost time to rise. You are stepping into a new season, not only of financial provision, but of clarity and courage. You will begin to see with greater spiritual vision, not driven by anxiety, but led by peace. You will make decisions not out of panic, but from a place of quiet authority, rooted in me. You will no longer beg for scraps. You will walk confidently into rooms I've prepared for you, not with pride, but with the deep humility of one who knows what it is to lack and what it is to trust. You've been afraid to hope again. I know. You've held your breath through disappointment before and felt the sting of delay. You've tried to protect your heart by lowering your expectations. But I'm here to tell you, it is safe to hope again. Not because everything will go your way, but because I am with you in all things. Hope anchored in me is never in vain. Hope in me is never wasted. And now, I am restoring your ability to hope, not in outcomes, but in my presence, in my faithfulness, in my timing, in my love. You are not being led in circles. You are being led to something lasting. I have not wasted a single trial. I have not overlooked a single need. And when I provide now, and I will, it will not be out of pity. It will be out of promise. Because I made a covenant with you that I would never leave, never forsake, never forget. And I have not forgotten. I remember every act of obedience, every seed you planted in faith, every time you chose me over fear. I saw it all, and now I will honor it. Provision is not a reward for performance. It is a reflection of my character. I give because I am good. I bless because I love. And as I pour out more in the days to come, I want you to remember what I taught you in the valley. That I was enough. That my presence sustained you. That peace is not a destination, but a companion. You will never forget this because it's been written on your soul. And now, as your heart rises into hope, let me remind you that this journey is not only for you. There are others walking the same road you've just come through. They are praying the prayers you once prayed. They are afraid to ask, afraid to believe, afraid to trust. And I have prepared you, not just to rise, but to reach. You will speak into their fear with truth. You will tell them of my faithfulness. You will show them what it looks like to trust me when nothing makes sense. And in doing so, you will lead them not to your wisdom, but to my heart. You are my messenger now, a living testimony that I am not just a God of ideas, but a God of action. That I do not merely comfort, I transform. That I do not abandon my children in their struggle, I walk them through it and lift them from it. You are the living proof, and because of that, your words will carry weight. Your story will carry power. Your generosity will carry purpose. So go forward, not with fear, but with joy. Go forward, not wondering if you are still loved, but knowing you are loved beyond measure. Go forward with eyes wide open to every small miracle, every door I open, every new opportunity I send your way. And when you receive the blessing, remember who you are. Not someone lucky, not someone rescued at the last moment, but someone chosen, trusted, prepared. This is the new chapter, not without challenges, but filled with grace, not absent of pressure, but grounded in presence. You are no longer living beneath the weight of lack. You are living under the flow of my provision. You are no longer chasing peace, you are walking with it. You are no longer surviving, you are thriving, and you will never go back to the old mindset again. My child, I'm so proud of you. You have endured, you have trusted, you have waited, and now you are stepping into fulfillment. You are not alone, you are not afraid, you are not without hope, you are mine. Amen. Now go and share this message, not because you must, but because others need what I have given you. Let your voice carry my heart, and let the light I've placed in you shine on those still searching for peace. I will bless it. I will bless you, always.